to a Friday, April the 4th, 4425. Good to see everybody tonight. And we are grateful to have you. We're going to not keep you long tonight. We've got a few videos. We're doing the hat thing, you know. I was requested to do the chicken outfit. We will, not in the mood for the chicken outfit tonight, but we will do it again. We will bring the chicken outfit back. You know, Easter is coming up. We got the chicken eggs and the chicks, the little chicks, you know, Easter eggs and all that good stuff. The bunny eggs, or I don't know what you do. So Easter will be, April is a month for the chickens. But we will do that. We're not going to keep you long tonight. Famous last words, right? We'll probably be here till midnight at this rate. Grateful to have everybody. I don't know where to start. We have got one messed up world. We've just got a messed up, mucked up society. I was on the radio today, and we had some interesting discussions about Nancy Pelosi, and we've got this law that the Florida Senate is passed, and they are going to be making sure that the chemtrails don't kill us. And they are. Second, let me get this out of the way here. Let me sort of do that. Yeah, they're making sure that the chemtrails are not going to kill us, as if that's going to be the most worrisome thing that's going to keep me up at night. It ain't. What some people get upset about, I don't. And but anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Got some video for you. Some of it will somewhat funny stuff. We've had a busy day. I really haven't had a chance to prepare for tonight. I wanted to, but we've got enough to carry you for about an hour or 45 minutes or so, at least tonight. I wanted to do more funny stuff. We're going to start trying to do more funny stuff on Friday night. I was going to have Alice Linehan, but I'm just going to hold off all that till next week. And we've got some new guests coming next week, and we've got some old guests. We have Josh Rosenstern Monday night. Alice Linehan. We're trying to get Carl and Nicole back. And Brad Johnson be with me. James Akers be with me. We have Magdalene back. Trying to get Judge Sherlyn Allen. So we've got a pretty impressive lineup of folks coming. And some new faces that we're waiting to hear back from. And so forth. And some good face stuff coming. Well, our prayers tonight. I do want to say this before we get going. I'm very saddened watching the film and the videos that are coming in from the Mid-South tonight. Some of these storms that have been hitting Tennessee and Kentucky and Missouri, Arkansas especially, have been absolutely deadly. And I know some of you may have showed this last night. I'm not sure if we did or not. But there has been just some horrendous storms, both tornadoes and flooding. This storm right here, I did mention this last night. Maybe I did. Whoops, did the wrong box there, didn't I? Yeah, there we go. That was a storm outside of Nashville yesterday afternoon, and very close to our dear buddy Jason Miller. They were okay, but that's a nasty looking, how would you like to be driving on the road and seeing that to your northwest? And that storm was likely going northeast, away from the viewer that was sending that picture in, thank God. But how would you like to be on the northeast side of that, watching that come at you? That would not be a good thing. There's been 8 dead in the Mid-South. The bigger story, the narrative that's growing tonight is the water. There are people that are literally having to be rescued out of their homes in Missouri, Arkansas, up into Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois. And this rain has been ongoing since Monday. We're at Friday. This has been pretty much a 5-day weather event. We told everyone Monday it was coming. And we had a special, I think, Wednesday. We had a special Wednesday to say that this was developing. And sure enough, it's Friday. We've had about at least a solid 3 days, but you could argue we've had 4. We had a tornado down here in southeast Alabama on Monday as the other line, the other system was leaving, and quite a bit of wind damage around Atlanta, and then this is a brand new system. It's not going to be over with on Monday, so it's going to be a solid week of bad weather. So you folks down south in the mid-south, please be careful tonight, and check on your loved ones. If you got loved ones in those areas of the country, please check on them. And friends, and just be safe out there. Let's go to our news wire. I want to talk about a few things that we've got out there. Did you hear about this? I know most of you are not fans of Bill Maher, and I'm not either. He is a foul-mouthed comedian on HBO. He's also done some political commentary in the past, and he had a show on another, I think it was Comedy Central for years, and Trump invited him to the White House this week, and he actually accepted the invite. I was shocked that he would go. And Trump, being Trump, we're going to talk about these tariffs, by the way. We'll get into the serious stuff a little bit tonight, too. I just love how these Wall Street cowards, every time that we have a little moment of our history to stand up and be Americans and stand up and be brave and stand up and not run for the hills, we run for the hills. I mean, it blows me away. These Wall Street people get spooked at China trying to put tariffs on us as if they have no faith in the American government and have no faith that we are going to win this war. And at the first sign of trouble, people are throwing their investments away. I watched a weatherman of all people post something on X this afternoon. He's from Charlotte, and he was moaning and belly aching about his 501c3 just went up in the smoke, and it's never coming back. It's one day. It's one day, folks. The left is mocking it. The left is freaking out. There's a rule of thumb that I want to give you some sound advice about tonight. If the left is freaking out about it, it's the right thing that was being done. If the left is applauding it, it's likely not the right thing that is being done for the country. We need to give everything time. I don't care if China tariffed us 84%. And I know these people out there, well, Chris, it ain't your industry. You don't care because you don't have any skin in the game. Well, I'm not going to say that I do have skin in the game, but I will tell you what, those of you that do have skin in the game with these manufacturing tariffs need to take a chill pill and realize that if you think us continuing to lay down is going to benefit your manufacturing skin in the game, you're a fool. You're a plain fool. And I hate to use that so bluntly tonight, but we got a lot of those running around the country. And these people on Wall Street today, look, the Dow Jones Industrial dropped 1,600 points, folks. Worst single drop since the COVID drop of May of 2020. And it sent investors panicking, which it shouldn't have. It just shouldn't have. Trump warned. He basically, as good as said, he said, look, it's going to be some short-term pain right now, and there will be. But Marco Rubio, I think, said it better. And he said, we cannot keep doing what we were doing as a country as it relates to these tariffs and expect the country not to go bankrupt. We played a video today. It was audio, of course, on the radio. Chris has got a face for radio. And it was Nancy Pelosi back in 1996, sounding like Donald Trump. And I think I've got that video tonight. We've got it wired up. I'll get back tomorrow in a minute. But she was warning the country back in 1996 that we were basically paying 35% tariffs on goods coming into American goods going to China. They were only paying 2%. This was way back in 96. And this is actually on our Telegram page. If we go to our Telegram page, it's right there. You can watch the video. And she went on for half hour, almost 20 minutes, talking about this stuff. It's amazing how much she sounded like Trump. Of course, Slick Willie was in office then. And I'm sorry, I'll apologize for my comment a while ago. I apologize to the real fools out there for equating you with people that run for the hills, because there's a difference in a fool and a coward. So I apologize just in case I offended any of the real fools out there tonight. This is the McFiles. These opinions are mine. Throw your barbs at the screen at me. It's okay. It's Friday night. That's why I ain't got no guest on tonight. I just wanted to run my mouth for a little bit tonight. Not that I've not run it enough today. I ran it a lot today. But anyway, I just, it's amazing how these Dems sounded so much like Trump 30 years ago when it was somebody else in office. It's how it always works, ain't it? The late Val Kilmer, who died a few days ago, he had that famous line in Tombstone. He said, "My hypocrisy only goes so far." Well, I guess Nancy's only went as far as 96, because she's changed her tune in claiming that Trump's about to tank the economy and basically destroy America and Armageddon. You ought to hear these crazy loon leftists on the media tonight, and these comedians. Colbert last night embarrassed himself. Obama's out there embarrassing himself. Kamala Harris. By the way, the Obamas, was it Judge Judy, or was it Maybelline, or one of those divorce court lawyers? Heads up, you might have the biggest ratings boom in America here soon. You're going to have Michelle and Barack in front of a camera divorcing each other, what I'm hearing tonight. But anyway, that's another discussion for another time. Bill Maher went to the White House. He was presenting Trump. He took a list. This is only how Bill Maher is. Bill Maher's a funny guy. He's a little vulgar. I don't like his vulgarity. But there are some things that I actually agree with him about. And that's what I was joking about on the radio today. I said, I'm going to have to go out and have therapy tonight because I'm agreeing with Nancy Pelosi. And I was actually agreeing with Nancy Pelosi 30 years ago what she was saying, that we were getting screwed over by China with these tariffs. And something needed to be done about it. We needed to have reciprocity. She was even using terms like reciprocal tariffs, just like Trump's been using. Did you hear what the Prime Minister of Canada said today? He said, if America won't lead, the world will step up to the fact and lead. Canada had the absolute worst job report in 30 years for March. They lost 225,000 jobs because of the economic conditions that their government has done to them. We've not done it. They've done it. We're getting blamed for it. Trump's getting blamed for it. No, Canada did that. By the way, our March jobs report here, we gained 228,000 new jobs. The unemployment rate went up a bit because there was some things that were built into those numbers that you can't ignore. But we had a robust jobs number for March. We were only expecting to add 150,000. We added 228,000. I'm just a South Georgia boy. It sounds like Trump's doing pretty good. Oil prices have dropped to the lowest they've been in 2.5, 3 years. Trump's not getting credit for that. He's just being called the destroyer of America tonight. And again, Wall Street, all these bums on Wall Street take their money and run and take their toys home and cause the markets to go insane because they are nothing but cowards. Absolutely, it's just cowardice. I don't play the stock market, so, again, I don't have any skin in the game. My investments are above. My investments are not on this earth. And the Lord's my inheritance, not some get-rich-quick scheme in America and not some get-rich-quick scheme on the internet. But I find it so hilariously funny how messed up we are in this country, that when we try to fix something long term, that we've got no character to see it through, but yet we will sit back and let our nation be run over by these bullies, by these economic bullies in these other nations. And Trump's just trying to fix it. I keep going back to the tariffs, and I don't want to spend the whole show on that because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about tonight. Some sad news. There's this kid in Texas that got killed by this other kid, this black kid, and basically he's bragging. He bragged to the police. They asked him, he said, "You're the alleged suspect." He said, "There's no alleging to it. I did it. I knifed him to death over a seating dispute at a track meet," if you can believe that. But Bill Maher brought a list of the insults that Trump had insulted him with through the years, because there's always been this banter back and forth. Maher's never been a fan of Trump. He sure is not a Republican. He is a rabid leftist Democrat. And even Bill Maher was like shaking his head at Joe Biden and Kamala at the end. I mean, he's out there calling for the defunding of NPR and PBS, so go figure on that one. But he had something to say. Here's the story I want to show you. Greg Gutfeld, who I love. Gutfeld's the man. This is out of Breitbart. President Trump reportedly signed a list. He gave the list to Trump, and Trump signed it. And he said that he's doing it to show that the country can come together. Greg Gutfeld said Bill, when he showed up at the White House, he actually brought a list of insults Trump had said about him and gave it to Trump. And what did he do? He signed it, which is very Trumpian, and they laughed. Kudos to Maher. He knows he's going to burn whatever bridge that remains with the tolerant left. You've got to give credit to Kid Rock. He went out on a limb as a bridge to quarreling people that he happens to be friends with. Gutfeld applauded Trump, Maher, and Kid Rock for putting their egos aside and reflecting about how some people who stake their entire identity on hating Trump, which Maher did, would have a difficult time seeing him as a complicated, good-natured human being if they were to ever meet. The scariest part for a lot of people is finding out that Trump might be a good person. Because you've sunk so much of your energy in your life into him being bad, so you might not want to meet him, because the moment you have to relinquish any of that sunk cost, what's left? I think it's easier for Democrats. For never Trump Republicans, they can't let it go, because their entire identity is wrapped around that definition of who they are. They go into a room with him. That sunk cost destroys them. Here is Kennedy on Greg Gutfeld just a few nights ago. Roll the tape.
2015, and he's been relentless, really, ever since.
Yeah, well, Bill, when he showed up at the White House, he'd actually brought a list of insults Trump had said about him and gave it to Trump. And what did he do? He signed it, which is very Trumpian. And they laughed and they laughed. Kudos to Maher. You know, he knows this is going to burn whatever bridge.
Let me stop that.
That remains with the tolerant left. But he said full steam ahead. And you got to give credit to Kid Rock. You know, he went out on a limb, you know, as a bridge between two quarreling people that he happens to be friends with. And that is sharing the risk at its best. And what do you do when you share the risk? It causes other people to share the risk too. So both of these guys had something to lose, but they put their egos aside because they realized there's nothing to lose at all once you put your egos aside. And because Kid Rock was able to take the risk, they all decided to take the risk. And I think they're going to win from it. The scariest part for a lot of people is finding out that Trump might be a good person, because you sunk so much of your energy and your life into him being bad. So you might not want to meet him, because the moment that you have to relinquish any of that sunk cost, what's left? That's why you still have, and I think it's easier for Democrats. It's not, for never Trump Republicans, they can't let it go because their entire identity is wrapped around that definition of who they are. They go into a room with them, that sunk cost destroys them.
That's why I never want to meet AOC.
Yes.
It'll make it harder for me to ridicule her.
Yes, that is so true.
I don't want to be empathetic.
Yes, that's why I wish I never met you.
Yeah, exactly.
What? What? Did you just say I would be attracted to AOC? Where did you get that from?
A live straight man. Jesse.
And that's the 5. Good folks there. They're funny. But Bill Maher is supposed to announce tonight what he said to Trump. And I'd be interested to hear that. That clip would be here on Monday night. But look, folks, this is the thing. And I'm going to come back over to my screen. Let me tell you why this story is important. If our nation, if we as a country would start doing that more, if we on the right would do it to the left would do it to the right, you'd see a different America. You'd see a different America. But people have Trump PTSD syndrome right now. They have Elon Musk PTSD syndrome right now. We've got a right tonight that is so focused and more worried about a chemtrail than they were worried about their kids being exposed to godless ideology in their schools. They're more worried about geoengineering and occultism and New Age humanism and Nasaro and all this other QAnon crap. They're more focused on that than they're concerned about the moral fiber of their country going to hell. And I'm just talking straight on a Friday night, folks. It's Friday night fun. And I'm going to let you chime in and chime off here in a minute. But, you know, the right believes the weather's manipulated by man. The left believes the weather's caused by climate change. It's amazing nobody wants to give God credit for nothing. Nobody wants to give God credit for anything. God must sit in heaven and shake his head. And I will tell you this, folks. Whenever something is given to you, what's the verse in the Bible? It says, to whom much is given, much will be required. There's not a nation on this earth that has been given more blessing than America. There has not been a nation on earth that has been more blessed with freedom, more blessed with financial prosperity, more blessed with the ability to create wealth, more blessed to have the ability to be a beacon of light to the world than we have. No other nation. And I can tell you that there's not a nation out there. We've got foreigners that listen to our network and, you know, we talk to them. I'm thinking of our friend Cleo down under. I'm thinking of Vijaya in India. I'm thinking of even Zephaniah at times. I know I've been to his region of the world in Kenya at one time, way back in 94. And look, we don't understand. I don't think we appreciate what God's blessed us with. And when God's blessed a country like this, and he's given us so much, and we just throw it in the wind, we just spit it in the wind, it's got to, I don't know if it angers him, but it would anger me, but I'm not God. But I'm sure that it grieves his heart. At the very minimum, it grieves him. I may not agree with a 0.00000.1% of anything Bill Maher would ever say. And I guarantee you, he would say the same thing about Chris McDonald, and he would say the same thing about Donald Trump. And there's a lot of people out there on the right and the left that cannot stand Trump's guts. Folks, we have spent 4 years now, 8 years and 70 days and a few hours tonight. And I've watched both sides, both the left and the right, excoriate this man that has done absolutely nothing but just try to help the country. He's not done anything to hurt America. Please tell me what Elon Musk has done to hurt America. I talked about it last night. Elon Musk is trying to keep us solvent. So some of you can still post your videos and all from the wheelchairs at the nursing home, at least draw a Social Security check, because at this point, if things keep on, you're going to probably have to be licking stamps and sending out those envelopes. Remember those scams they tell you if you'll, send 15 people, put a $1. Yeah, some of you do remember this. Put $1 in 15 envelopes. Send 15 envelopes to somebody. I don't know where you're supposed to get the addresses from, but they supposedly are going to send you back money. I mean, people were falling for that stuff. About as crazy as people falling for the snake venom scam of Stu Peters. And going out buying water purifying kits because they was afraid the snake venom would get in the water. And And there's a lot of other things that we do. It's just not cool. But anyway, forget all that. Look, the very fact that Bill Maher went to the White House, Fetterman is another one. Fetterman may not agree with Trump, but he's trying, at least trying on the surface, to do what's right by the nation. And I think that both sides of the equation need to take that into consideration tonight. The way we act to each other, the way we talk to each other, the way we embrace each other. I may not agree with a thing these Dems stand for, but I'm not going to get in the ditch with them. I try not to. And sometimes when I do, the Lord lets me know when I do, and I have to repent. But we need to have civility, and we need to have understanding that we're in this together. And look, I'm not going to ever sit there and give a nod and give a tip of the hat to godlessness and baby killing and perversion and things like that. If this woke Democrat Party wants to go that direction, they will go without me, and they will go without any salute to that. But what I'm talking about are issues that really ultimately we can agree on in principle. And if they're willing to bring their ideas to the table and talk in a sensible manner, we can have a discussion. I got cousins who are Dems, and it's the hardest thing to get them to see that their party has gone Marxist and communist. They just don't see it because they're so blinded by political ideology. But before we say that we're not on the right, we are too. We're both sides are blinded by this. And I thought it was an interesting thing that happened. So we'll see what happens. Now, Maher may get on his program tonight and call Trump an SOB and every name in the book. So, you know, this goodwill peace tour may have been just a short-lived thing. But I thought it was funny that Trump gave him the list, gave him the list back and signed it. This is Greg Abbott. This is a little bit more serious tonight. Have you heard about this? You Texas folks need to have a heads up. Do you realize that there is an all-Muslim city that is being built called Epic City, and they have built the city with no building permits, and Greg Abbott was on Laura Ingraham last night talking about this. Roll the tape. This is America. Roll the tape.
Well, in part by that statement, but also in part by information that we've gathered, there appear to be multiple violations that have taken place here.
One is information has been provided to investors that appears to be misleading. Another is they appear to be in violation of fair housing laws. Also, we found that, they talk about
Doing all this building, but they don't have any building permits to actually do any building, and they have challenges even getting those building permits. Believe this or not, we've even received information that they may have been conducting a funeral home without legal authority. Bottom line, Laura, is that there so many questions arose, especially information that we received, that led us to need to call the elite Texas Rangers to conduct a criminal investigation to find out if criminal laws in Texas have been violated. Well, in part by that statement, but also...
And what he's saying there, that this epicenter of Islam that has sprung up in the good old heart of Texas was being built without any permits and no regard to the laws of this land. And folks, that's Sharia law. They don't respect our laws. They don't respect anything. They could care less about Greg Abbott. They could care less about building permits. They don't care. It's to them, they can come into any country. They don't care about assimilation. They care about domination. And we're going to follow this story because it's interesting. He said that they brought the Texas Rangers on the scene to investigate this. I got a feeling it's going to catch the attention of the DOJ at some point. But you Texans need to be aware. I'm curious if anybody lives near that city. It's Epic City. I'd love to hear from you. McFilesForum@gmail.com and get your take on it. Interesting stuff there. Here is the Gateway Pundit website tonight. A lot of interesting stories that I'll run over. By the way, I do want to say this. We've got a brand new website that we are working on right now. And we're very excited about it. It's the It's the MacNewsReport.com. The MacNewsReport.com. It's about 60% done. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, don't matter what time of the day or night you go on that website, you can get the latest up-to-date headlines, both from weather, opinion, the courts. We got a McJustice page we got that have all the legal stuff of the country. We got an national news page. We got a page dedicated to headlines from Jerusalem and Israel. We've got a faith page to keep up with the latest going on in the faith world. Not all of it will be good, but at least you'll know what's going on. We've got a weather page. We've got that fairly finished. And we are going to be starting a weather channel in the next, hopefully in the next week or two. We're trying to build a YouTube channel. I'm trying to come up with a cool name. I don't know if I should try that or not. McDonald's not good at names. I need these young whippersnappers. I need something catchy, you know. I need something to catch people's attention. I was talking to Angeline Marie today, my producer at K-Star, and I was laughing, and she was telling me about all these young whippersnappers that are out there chasing these storms. And I said, well, the thing with me, I said, I'm not going to appeal to that generation. I'm going to be appealing to the Geritol generation. I'm going to be appealing to the ones in the nursing homes that worried about the storms, and the older folks that have gray hair like mine. And she thought that was rather funny. And I was like, yeah, I said, I got to come up with a name that sort of appeals to the, you know, try to get the kids interested a little bit. But, you know, my audience is probably not going to be the 20-year-olds. I wish it was. So I got to make it cool. I may have to break out, you know, Kathy brought me the duck outfit. Maybe if I did the weather in the duck outfit like that, maybe that would get their attention. What do y'all think? I said I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I'll put it on for a second. I know Emily Courtney's girls loved it last week, but this is the duck outfit. Maybe that's what I need to do. And on days it's raining like a duck, just put the duck outfit on. And but anyway, we're gonna have a weather channel soon, and the MacNewsReport.com. And if you'll sign up, you will get updates when that website is updated. And we encourage you to do that. It's going to be good stuff. Now, this is the wires off of the Breitbart or Gateway Pundit site tonight. And there's a couple of interesting stories. By the way, we got a victory tonight in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to terminate teaching grants that violate DEI policy in a 5-4 vote. Of course, Robert sides with the liberal justices. What's new? Amy Coney held the line in that one. This is a few other stories. There's the video I was telling you about of Barack Obama. Looks like him and Michelle are headed for Splitsville. His quote tonight is that he is in a deep deficit with wife Michelle. She's taking public jabs at him. He's been yet to be invited on her own podcast. That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign that she has got a podcast. And she's invited the former president of the United States on her show. By the way, Marie Le Pen, while I'm thinking about it, there's stories about her tonight, and but I want you to understand that there's some good news on that front. And here is the thing that I want to tell you about. It looks like that she is going to be the next French PM, and I'll tell you why. The judgment against her in this embezzlement case has been defended or deferred on appeal until next summer. And the 3 judges who jailed her have had to go into hiding with protection. 20,000 new members have just now joined her party. So evidently the ruling that they said that she couldn't run is now voided until they have a chance to appeal. So none of what they have put her under until this appeal can go into effect. So she's got a shot. And there's a lot of folks in France that believe that she's going to take Macron, the loser. But anyway, and speaking of Macron, Richard Grinnell has suggested to Trump scraping a $5 billion U.S. loan for France's Total Energies Africa project after Macron had called yesterday for an end of European investment in America. Good luck with that, Emmanuel. You need us more than we need you, and I say that to all these nations that are doing this stuff. And there is Antonio Gracias. We played the video last night what he was saying about the illegals and Social Security. Well, they're accessing Medicaid as well. Thousands are voting. We've already played that. P. Diddy has been indicted again on further trials, and Trump fires back at China. We'll talk about this in a minute. He says China played it wrong, and they have played it wrong, folks. And we don't need to be scared. Can you believe what these judges are doing? This judge here, I'm running my mouse over these stories. The Obama judge has ordered Trump to return an alleged MS-13 gang member to the U.S. after he's been deported to El Salvador. I want to tell this judge something. I tell you what, if you want him to be brought back, why don't you get on an airplane yourself and you take your sorry carcass down there and you bring him back? All right? I'm sure you and him get along just great on the airplane ride back. I'm sure you'll have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. And these Obama judges are just doing some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff right now. And this is a weird story. Did you hear about this government, this shadow government? That's called the People's Cabinet to sabotage Trump's agenda. Well, this is DNC head Ken Martin, and he says that it is being marketed by a group of, quote, experts, leaders, and everyday Americans. But in reality, it's a coalition of washed-up leftist bureaucrats, failed politicians, radical activists who are hell-bent on blocking Trump's common-sense efforts to restore sanity to the country. And sorry for all the ads. I know some weird stuff there. I don't know what the Gateway Pundit is doing. But that's Ken Martin right there. Don't he just gender the comeback for the Dems? I know you Dems are just inspired by Ken Martin and this rah-rah. We're going to have a shadow government that's going to stop Trump. Man, this guy just gives you the heebie-jeebies. Roll the tape.
Hey, it's Ken Martin. I want to tell you about the People's Cabinet that the DNC is launching today. I have been traveling across the country nonstop since I started this job, and what I hear over and over is this. Americans want us to fight back against Trump's lies and offer a better alternative.
Trump has stacked his cabinet with out-of-touch billionaires who are causing chaos and hurting working people. That's why we are launching the People's Cabinet.
It will be made up of experts, leaders, and everyday Americans who will share reliable and accurate information that you can use to fight back. Stay tuned for more.
Yeah, we're going to stay tuned, Ken. Your party's got an approval rating of 21%. I wouldn't be holding my breath that you're going to do anything, but that's okay. We'll let you keep doing what you're doing. Hey, I got to play you this now. This is a language warning. I think Breitbart did a good job of keeping the bleepers out. This is Colbert last night. If you don't think the left is melting down, folks, if you don't think they're losing their lunch and they're losing their whatever, they're losing it all. Trump derangement syndrome is real. And Colbert, this is Stephen Colbert. Try doing something. I'm just going to play the first minute or two of this. Just goes to show you that liberalism and late night comedians are a mental disorder.
Hey there, out there, hello over there. Hey everybody, welcome one and all to the Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert.
How you doing? Everybody feeling liberated? Because, yeah. Today.
Sorry for the bot. I don't know what's causing that buffer in the videos. We'll try it again. Let me see if stopping and starting to help it.
Today was the first day of trading on Wall Street since Trump slathered our economy in honey and staked it down next to a fire anthill. And the Dow Jones nosedived 1,700 points, joining the S&P and NASDAQ in having their biggest drop since 2020. So, worst day for our economy since COVID. Just a little reminder, this time, he's the disease.
And that's what they think. That's what they think. Roll tape.
I'm just spitballing here. Has anyone thought about injecting our money with bleach?
Now, one bit of good news coming out of this. It's all pretty solid proof that there is no deep state.
Because if there was, they would have stopped this. Okay? But if they do exist, I just want to say to the cabal of financial and governmental elites who pull all the strings behind the scenes, maybe put a pause on your 5G chip JFK Jr. adrenochrome chemtrail orgy and jump in here, because we're f***ing dying.
That's what you call Trump derangement syndrome on display by Stephen Colbert. All righty. And here's Breitbart's headlines, several interesting stories here that you can find on our website. By the way, did you see this? ICE has deported 174 illegal aliens with 610 criminal convictions among them in 2 weeks. Yay for ICE. By the way, Trump responded to this crap right here. Trump trying to impose 34% tariffs on U.S. imports. Ye thinks he's going to win this. Trump's got a little bit more guts than he gives him credit for. Trump has basically responded, and he said that basically this is a big mistake, and it is going to be a big mistake for the Chinese. By the way, I got to show you this. This was just basically being reported right before I came on the air tonight. We're almost done. We're going to take your questions. Israel, India, the European Union, Japan, Vietnam, and Cambodia have all decided to eliminate their tariffs and trade barriers provided that Trump consents to reciprocate by removing similar restrictions. We call that reciprocity. That's what Nancy Pelosi claimed that we needed back in 96. I think I am going to play that video of hers, if you don't mind. I hate to hear her voice, but this is worth listening to. I'm going to let you listen to it just for about 3 seconds, not 3 seconds, but about 3 minutes of it. And I'm telling you, you would have thought that Nancy Pelosi was Donald John Trump watching this. And hang on just a second, let me get this copied right. But this is Nancy Pelosi back in 96 talking about free trade. And this is her on the floor of the House.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone...
I'm sorry the computer's doing this, but there is a God in heaven. It's almost like God is mocking these people saying this stuff tonight. Let me try to stop and try it again. But it's about like she sounds when she talks now, but roll the tape.
Indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status.
Wow.
For several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today.
Folks, let me stop it right here. And I want to show you this. Let me get this X off. I want you to look at that chart. She showed this 29 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. 2% was our average tariff on Chinese goods then. Their average tariff in 96 was 35%. I didn't see remember the damn saying the world was ending then. I didn't see the world saying it was ending. Look at the exports. The percent of U.S. exports that was allowed into China was only 2% in 96. We were allowing 33% of theirs. And that next figure there, you can't see the bottom part of that, 10 million jobs basically was being supported in China by our trade into their nation. Our trade into their nation was giving them a boost of 10 million jobs. Their trade into our nation, 170,000. I thought for a minute when I was listening to this, Nancy Pelosi had transported herself back in time and she had changed sexes and become Donald Trump.
Right now we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996.
Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%. From $3.5 billion then.
Hang on, she's not in helium, folks. This is not her. This is we have a lag with the buffering for some reason, and that's why these videos do this on this page.
To about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows...
Did she just ask, was that reciprocal? Is that not what the left's freaking out about tonight? Did she just ask, or this is reciprocal? Of course it's not. That's all Trump's been wanting, folks. That's all Trump wants. It's a fair playing field. You Canadians and you Mexicans, and I'm saying to the nation, I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the government. You French, you want to get freaked out about it, and you don't like us dishing it back out? Grow a pair. Grow up. You do this to us. You've been doing this to us for 30 years. 30 plus years. Probably longer. Nobody has had the courage to stand up and say it's enough. Trump has stood up. This is Liberation Day. I'm going to play one more minute of this. Can't stomach her voice much more than this.
Certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction.
We have not placed any restriction on China. Well, we have tonight. And folks, if you think about it, think of the hypocrisy of this. All right, that chart was in 96. They imposed a 34% tariff on our goods. That's less than what they were imposing on us in 1996. I didn't see any Dems running for the hills to microphones and Stephen Colbert and comedians at night acting like the pure tea devil. I didn't see any of this. Of course, at that time, we were more concerned what interns were in Bill Clinton's desk than we were terrorists then, I guess. That might have been some of it. Couldn't resist that. But Nancy's acting like 35%, was the end of the world. Well, we don't even have 35% tonight. And she's saying, and this is her quote right here, that Donald Trump's reckless tariffs will cause chaos in our economy, raise prices for consumers, and hurt hardworking American families. This is not a strategy. It's the largest tax hike on the American people. Corey Aguilar, I saw you out there. I gave you a shout out today on the K-Star radio show. I told everybody that you told us last night. You asked a question that you said something to the effect that if we do these tariffs right, we can bring enough money back into the country that we ain't going to have income tax. So, Nancy, I disagree. This ain't going to be the largest tax hike on American people. It's going to be the largest tax cut. And we're going to wind up getting more money from these countries because I guarantee you, folks, I say it again tonight, and I stand by this, they need us more than we need them. Why do you think that they have been letting their goods come into our country at such low tariffs and then tariffing us to death? Because, see, they get a free pass, and that free pass is over. They have been flooding our markets. I got to say this to you. I know some of you use Temu, the website that you get all that cheap stuff from. If you want to understand how we're screwed over by the Chinese, use Temu and buy the junk off that website just for a month or so and just see what kind of crap you get. And the Chinese folks, the joke was in 2020 that the COVID virus was the only thing manufactured in China that actually worked and didn't break. And I'll say amen to that. But again, this is hypocrisy. This is why we can't stand politicians. And this is why that we love this man right here. Because he sees through it. But it seems like just 6 hours ago that there's a new sheriff in town and the world's coming to their senses. And I can guarantee you there's going to be more nations than this. You notice all those are in Southeast Asia? Those are China's neighbors. What's not on there is that Vietnam tonight, they imposed multiple tariffs on Chinese goods coming into Vietnam. I think we're about to make Vietnam great again. Argentina should be on that list too. They have said no tariffs on any American goods going in. Javier Milei, he's a great man. I tell you what, you folks in Argentina, you need to be grateful that you got him as your leader. He's balanced your budget. He's brought your nation back out of poverty. And with the Lord's help, he's turning Argentina around unlike anybody's done in recent memory can I remember. But there's going to be more nations. I don't see Canada's name on there yet. It's coming. I don't see France's name on there yet. It's coming. I don't see a lot of nations on there. They're coming. Just need to have faith. And we just need to have patience. All righty. I want to come back over to my stage. A couple of quick videos, folks. By the way, Pam Bondi, two more things, and then I'll have to just pick up what I was going to say Monday night because time's up.
Today, we're here to announce the arrest of 3 more MS-13 gang members who were in this country illegally, and they were in Florida. And we will be reviewing them. They've all been arrested for first-degree murder. We will be reviewing them to see if we will seek the death penalty. This has been a long-running investigation that started in 2015.
All right. Now, that is the arrest of MS-13 gang members. By the way, you've got judges out there tonight that, I don't know if you heard about the Boston situation. There was an MS-13 gang member before a Boston judge. He was up there on attempted murder charges. Well, there was a technicality. The judge let him walk. Well, the ICE agents knew that he was in the courtroom and he was wanted on other charges in other parts of the nation, federal charges. Had nothing to do with this. But they arrested the MS-13. Well, guess what the district attorney in Boston did today? He filed criminal charges. Guess who he filed them against? Not the MS-13 member. He filed the charge against the ICE agent. So now the ICE agent, the DOJ, has told the Boston DA and the Boston judge to pound sand that you've got no jurisdiction over ICE agents. But they're demanding that they release this MS-13 just like that guy right there back on the streets in America. Folks, the Dem Party does not care about you. They do not care about your safety. They don't care about your family safety. They do not care about a thing. Nothing. Good for Pam Bondi. Another win. And another win for the good guys in Israel tonight. Man, I had so much to talk about. I got get to the Geoengineering store before I leave. But this is the loser and the murderer and the terrorist that was responsible for the abduction and murder of Shiri Bibas and her children. Guess what? He is no longer walking the earth. He was eliminated today. Mohammed Hassan Awad, the intelligence chief of the Al Muhammedin Brigade, And I think I didn't put the video up. I thought I had the video. Where is that video at? But I wanted to show you this. This is how sweet that little baby was. In memory of Ariel, that's the baby that he killed, by the way. The beautiful Jerusalem butterfly has been officially renamed Ariel in Israel. A butterfly now carries this baby's name forever. Isn't that beautiful? And I don't take any joy from a spiritual standpoint in the death of a terrorist, but from a political standpoint and from a human being standpoint, good riddance. You live by the sword, you kill babies, you kill children. I have no sympathy tonight. I pray for his soul, which really not even sure you can pray for a soul at this point. But he's now been eliminated. Israel needs to be congratulated for that. One other story, and I'm going to get myself in trouble for this one. We talked about this today, and I'm just going to talk about it for a few minutes. Get your questions ready. I'll just bring it up here. Did you hear about this? Some of you did, some of you didn't. The Florida Senate has approved a ban on geoengineering and weather manipulation. We're going to talk about this tonight. I'm probably going to save this till Monday night. We had a good talk about it. I thought we had a great discussion about it today on the K-Star Talk Radio, 2 to 3 every day. We are 1 month old today. We've been on K-Star Talk Radio for 1 month, and nobody's jumped off a bridge. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody is, I shouldn't say that. That's pretty bad. No, nobody has went to therapy, and nobody has called any bomb threats into K-Star Talk Radio. At least not yet. Oh, and our audience has increased on the McFiles, so we must be hitting a good nerve because nobody has left the show and disowned us yet. But we talked about this today, and I'm just going to say what I got to say tonight. I gave a history of the 3 government efforts back in the 1940s, the 50s, and the 60s. 3 times it all happened, where they were trying to seed clouds to try to keep hurricanes from being as intense. Well, of course, the loons on the right and the loons on the left, they have basically, and I hear it all the time, the chemtrails and the modification. And I'm going to go ahead and say it before I say what I got to say about it. You can believe whatever you want to believe. And you can walk around spooked and thinking that there's some Dr. Evil pushing a button. And there's people tonight that believe. We had somebody in the chat the other night. We were talking about these dangerous storms. Do you think that they would stop and think for a second that people don't really give a blank what, whether it's geoengineering, the devil or God or anybody? These people were fleeing for their lives, but we've got to tell everybody this is some Dr. Evil plan and geoengineering is behind it. You can believe what you want to believe. But I'm going to tell you this was a waste of time by Florida. I don't care how many bills they pass to stop it. They basically made it a 3rd-degree felony to put seeds in a cloud. And folks, the only time that this has been done in history was actually to be done to make a hurricane less dangerous, not more dangerous. The QAnon people believe that this is being done to literally direct storms into states that they don't like and to cause weather across the country, and that the deep state controls this and the cabal controls the weather, and that you've got spiritual prophets that bank their whole enchilada on this. But this is the hypocrisy of it. I'm going to say 2 things about it tonight. I'm going to leave it be. We've got this article on the Telegram room. Number 1, you can't have it both ways. I've seen these same voices when a hurricane hits Florida head on. a red state, or even Louisiana, basically a red state, that's an act of the deep state. The deep state did this. This was done by deep state operatives, this geoengineering. They literally generated the hurricane to do this. Wow. If that same hurricane goes up the East Coast and maybe slams into, let's just say New Jersey, a blue state, or it slams into New York, a blue state, because there have been hurricanes that have done that in the last few years. They've had hurricanes in New England. Or it slams into, let's just say, a natural disaster, a fire or a flood or something, an earthquake. Same thing with earthquakes. They believe that they're controlling the earthquakes. They don't just believe in it. It's not even about the chemtrail clouds to this bunch. They believe every natural disaster is controlled by man. And man, they think an earthquake that hits California is a sign from God that God is judging the evil in California. You can't have it both ways. That's nothing but 100% rank hypocrisy. And the worst kind of it is religious hypocrisy. And I'll tell you why, folks. If you believe that God controls the weather when it strikes evil states that people think are evil, then you are a liar, and you are a manipulative liar to tell people that it was the deep state that did it on a red state. And I don't mind telling it to your face. That's nothing but manipulation, and that is nothing but fear-mongering. That is nothing but somebody that has no inkling whatsoever what they are talking about spiritually. Now, again, these opinions are mine on the McFiles tonight. These are mine. You don't have to buy into that. You can buy into what the Florida State Senate did. Ron DeSantis is out there applauding this bill. But see, this is the hypocrisy of the bill. The Senate approved it, and Tennessee approved a similar measure a couple of years ago, and we had the same thing going up here. The Senate approved it. The House put a bill out that basically blames it all on climate change, so they wanted to insert laws to make sure that money was funneled into climate change initiatives because they didn't believe it was modification. They believed it was climate change. You've got the left that believes the weather is being manipulated by climate change. You've got the right, the far right, believes that it's being... I'm just holding my breath for somebody with some common sense, just like Chris McDonald is about to tell you, folks, God controls it. And you say, well, the devil's in charge of the power of the air. Yeah, the devil's in charge, but who's in charge of the devil? Who's in charge of the devil? I don't care what man thinks he can do and what man's tried to do and what man thinks he's ruling over. And man rules, God overrules. At all times. Number two, why is we having these massive storms? Why are we having these earthquakes? Why are we having these terrible tornado outbreaks? Why are we having these hurricane slams? And folks, none of this is new to the earth. There are recorded earthquakes in the Bible. There are recorded tornadoes in the Bible. There were floods. If you don't believe me, ask Noah. There have been massive floods in history going way, way back, long before we claimed there was a deep state on the earth. It's just amazing that everybody thinks the deep state just fell out of heaven and has been doing this forever and ever. Was there a deep state in the day that Job lost his family to a tornado that hit the side of his tent, a whirlwind that came out of the north? Was the deep state involved with that? No. Now, I know some of you are going to get a little offended at this tonight because you're banking on the fact there's a Dr. Evil somewhere out there tonight, or Dr. Evils that can do this. And I say it with all the due respect in my heart. If you want to believe that, knock yourself out. Chris, don't. Because my faith is above. And the God of heaven is insulted by man thinking that he can do such this nature. Man may want to do it. Man may even try to do it. Man can't do it. And I challenge you to go do a Bible search and just You don't even have to be a theologian. We read some scriptures today on the K-Star Talk radio program. I can't wait for the email to fill up this weekend. I really can't. God controls the wind. He controls the rains. He controls the terra firma of this earth. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It does not say the earth is man's. This earth was created by God. Why is it doing these things? It's real simple tonight. For the whole creation, Romans 8:22. The whole creation groaneth and travaileth until now. The whole creation groans and travails until now. Why is it groaning? Because of corruption. Because of sin. You want to know what man's role in this is about the weather? It's his own sin and corruption that has caused this earth to literally want to vomit man's effect on this earth out. Even the earth can't stand us. We've gotten so evil and wicked. And the earth is shaking like this, wanting to be free of this corruption that it's under tonight. That's why you get storms. That's why you get tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes and fires and all of these things that are going on tonight. And again, you ain't got to believe that. You can believe whatever you want to, and Chris will love you the same, and so forth. But I'm going to tell Florida this tonight. I don't care what you try to do to stop cloud modification. The atmosphere over your state is not going to change one bit because you don't control this weather. You can thank the QAnon movement for a lot of this nonsense. All right. That's my 2 cents tonight. You ain't got to like that, and that's all right. I love you anyway. I love you anyway. All righty. If you got a question, put it in the house. If you got a question, put it in the house tonight. Real quick, 5 minutes. Dennis, both parties have allowed this to happen. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. Going back to the tariff. Pat and Deb Dolan says, I need to start the McDuck Weather Channel. You know, Pat, Deb, that is a great thought. That's a great idea. We're going to talk about this more Monday night. I ain't done about this weather stuff. I thought this was hilarious a little bit. I'm surprised DeSantis put his approval on it, but then in the same breath, he said, we're not going to support the House bill because the House bill was basically mocking the Senate bill and saying, no, it's not modification, it's climate change. So we've got to put laws in place to stop climate change. That's when you start dealing with this kind of nonsense, folks, you get nonsensical results. Just a thought. Just a thought. Anyway, all righty. Don't look like I got too many questions in the house. I must have wowed everybody into submission tonight. You got 5 minutes, folks. I'm getting out of here. It's Friday night. You got any questions? Any comments? If you got any questions, any comments, have at it. McFiles4@gmail.com. Anything in Facebook tonight? Nobody's talking in Facebook. Let's see here. United we stand, divided we surely will fall. Yep, that is true. Joan, we don't know what time, Josh. I'm not sure he's coming yet. Our Monday night shows are at 9 o'clock. We're trying to get him. He's real busy these days. We're trying to get him. That's our hope. If Josh is not on Monday night, somebody will be on. We'll probably play Alice Linehan's interview sometime next week. Must not be any questions about the show tonight. All righty. Chris Davis says, the first question we need to ask is why do these judges and politicians want these criminal illegals to stay? Chris, that is the most sensible question anybody's asked in 1,000 years. Why do they want these illegals to stay and keep killing American citizens? And I wished I had an answer for that tonight, other than they're just crazy, insane, demonically inspired in their head. But I don't know. Because if we can answer that question, we're going to solve all of these judges' issues. Because unless it's just they're totally hell-bent on doing anything to stop Trump doing what he wants to do, and it's political, which if it's political and you're killing American citizens and allowing American citizens to be killed by these gangs and these illegals, if that's your motive, that you don't care about the death, you only care about hurting Trump, that is as evil and wicked, and that is as, I don't even have a word for that. But it's a great question. I wished I knew the answer, but I don't. I don't. Cedric, will I support your governor of Canada bid? I will. I will. I sure will. Mark McIntosh, how long before the Dow corrects itself? Mark, it will, who knows? Folks, Trump, this is day 2 of these tariffs. I predict, this is my prediction, and it is my opinion, I would give it a week. Let the scaredy cats get out of the market. It will settle down. It will settle down. The sky's not falling. The media is making it sound like it is tonight, and even some on the right are sounding like it is. And Chris ain't. It's not falling. No, things are being done right. We're doing the right thing in what we're doing. We're doing the right thing with China. We're doing the right thing with Canada. We're doing the right thing with these nations. We're doing the right thing with France. And as I said, those countries I just listed tonight just happened tonight, Mark, just in the last 6 hours. They've come to the table and said, okay, we give up. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's make it a fair. Let's make it a fair exchange here. I'm all good with that. Give it a week, Mark. Maybe 2. We need a fair playing field. We do need a fair playing field. Anyway. Thanks for the question, Mark. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, folks. I'm done. Unless you got a question real quick. I went longer than I promised. That's happened before. It's my bad, but I promise I will break the duck outfit out again next Friday night or the next Friday night. One night this month, I will come on with the McDuck outfit. I like Pat and Deb's, the McDuck Weather Channel. I wonder if those kids, just out of morbid curiosity, I thought about the old McDonald Weather Watch. I thought that was pretty funny. Old McDonald's Weather Watch. Weather and Storm Watch. I guess I could put the old the old Quack McDonald. That might work. You know. I will wear the duck outfit, though. Anyway. Mark, good to see you. Thank you. And so forth. Jimmy, it's already saying goodnight. So I guess we're time to go. Jenny Castellano, good to see you. Basic hatred for and going against Trump. That's why they're doing it. Listen, folks, did you enjoy the show tonight? Put some fire in that house. I hope you have a great weekend. You guys be safe down south. We'll talk about all this again next week. We ain't done, but I'm done tonight. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for those that give. Thank you for those that support the network. And thank you all for all that you do. We love you. We appreciate you. We've been doing this 7 years and 4 months now. Almost 7.5. We're entering our 8th year. You realize that? That's hard to believe. Somebody would be wanting to listen to this old quack for that long, but you have been, and we're thankful that you are. And these opinions are mine, and the craziness is mine. And we're grateful that you've been with us tonight. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. And just know that we are all in this together. And let's stay together and fight for our nation together, okay? Have a blessed night. Good night, everybody.